Welcome to Geometry. Today we're going to go over geometry basics. Why can't I hear it? I like to include puns in my Google Slides, so if you find one, send it to me. You need to get ready, please. Make sure you have a notebook and a pencil. Our agenda for today is we're going to introduce vocabulary, we're going to be doing some drawings and notation, and we'll do some practice problems. The geometry vocabulary we're going to concentrate today on is point, line, line segment, plane, ray, angle, collinear, and coplanar. When we're learning geometry, it's like learning a new language. We have to learn how to write it, how to draw it, should I use a capital letter or a lowercase letter, and every little detail is going to be important. When we're doing geometry vocabulary, I will often ask you to draw a labeled diagram and to write the correct notation. So we're going to use this table for each one. I'm going to include a definition, a picture, and a notation, and these should get into your notes. So if I ask you to draw point A, we'll start with that picture. Point A. That's how we draw it. If we think about the definition, it's kind of hard to think about the definition for just a point. We might think about it as represented by a dot. And if I ask you, does a dot have a shape? Does it have a size? Does it have a dimension? So it really doesn't have a dimension. The notation, the way that we would name this, is there is not an abbreviation. You have to write out the word. So you write out the word point, and then we are always going to use capital letters for our points. Next up, I'm going to ask you to draw line AB. I'm going to start with the picture. So I'm going to draw AB, and a lot of kids would go like that for a line, but it's going to be really important that you include arrowheads to show that this is actually going to go on forever. So I'm going to put 2 points, point A and point B. They don't have to go right on your arrowheads. They can go anywhere in there. And if we think about a line, it has one dimension. It just goes in that one direction. So it is one dimension. And a quick note is we need arrowheads. It's going to be an important piece. And the way that we're going to do the notation is a few ways. So if I were to give you line AB like this, we could write it with capital point A and B with a little line over it. That's the notation for naming line AB. That is the same as line BA. A different student might call it that. Sometimes on worksheets or practice, we might see a lowercase cursive letter like this M. And then we could call it, we have to write out the word, line M. So I just want you to be familiar with that. Those will be all the different notations we can see for lines. Next up, we have a line segment. And if you think about what's the difference between a line segment and a line segment is part of a line. So in this case, if a student just did this, this would be okay. So we're going to put A on the end and B on the end, and it includes all of the points in between. So this is also one dimension. It's a part of a line. And it has 2 endpoints. We have our specific way that we can write this notation. Again, it's capital A, capital B, with just the straight little segment over it, no arrowheads this time. Another student might name it segment BA, and both of those are correct. Now here we have plane ABC, and it's not like the airplane here that I have. This one gets a little tricky because now we're going into 2 dimensions. And I'm going to draw it, trying to draw it like a 3D shape kind of, but like that. So it kind of looks like a parallelogram, but I want you to know that it extends off in all directions. So it goes this way and this way and this way and this way. It's like if I was drawing the top of your desk, but it goes off in every direction. So it continues forever. So it goes on forever in each direction. And inside this plane, we're going to have some points. So here I'm going to put point A, just like we drew it to begin with, capital letter, point B, and then I'm going to put point C over here. I'm also going to put a capital M there. Notice I don't put in any M with that, and that's just going to show you another way that we could name this. So I'm going to name this plane, no abbreviation, you just have to write out the word, A, B, C. You do need at least 3 points so that you can identify the plane. You could put another point in there. I could have D, and we can call this plane A, B, C, D. So 3 or 4 letters is good. Notice I put the M in there, capital M, not associated with any point. So this could also be called plane M. Ray, I put the sun ray up there. So if you think about the sun rays, they point out forever. So this is also going to be one dimension. If we think about it, it's going to look like part of a line, and that helps us define it because it is part of a line. So I'm going to name this one ray AB. Notice A is the end point. It's not on the part near the arrow that's going to keep going with the B. So this one only has a specific way. This is notation is ray AB. You have to start with the end point, and in this case, A is the end point. If somebody was to draw this one with B as the end point in A, that notation would be BA. So they are different rays. Order matters in this case. Angles. Angles are made up of 2 rays. 2 rays that connect at the same end point. So if I'm drawing angle ABC, I'm going to start with this ray, and I'm going to add that ray together. We have an angle, but I have to be careful because very specific with the order. B has to be in the middle. A goes up here. C goes down here. You could reverse the A and C, but it does matter. You have to read it as you're collecting the letters so that this B, which is my vertex, is in the middle. So this notation would be angle, and it's like the less than sign, angle A, B, C. Another student might call it angle C, B, A, and that is allowed. If the angle is all by itself, kind of like this one, we will get into more complicated pictures, but if it's all by itself, we could just label it by its vertex, and that would be angle B. Sometimes you might just see a little number inside, not to be confused with the degree measurement, that's just angle 1. So that would be another way that you could name this, angle 1. 2 more important words are collinear and coplanar. Collinear has the word line right in it, and co means together. So these are points on the same line. If I gave you this, A, B, and C are collinear. Coplanar almost has the word plane in it, and these would be points on the same plane. So remember, drawing my plane is kind of like drawing the parallelogram. A, B, C are coplanar. You want to make sure that you cannot define a plane with 3 collinear points, because then I could have a plane going through it like that. So they can't be collinear, and we'll talk about that in class. Let's do some practice. So here we have, if we look at our picture first, we have a plane. We have this line going in the plane. This line is going through the plane, so some things to keep in mind. This Z is not a point. That is a plane there. And this lowercase a is not a point. So let's see if we can answer these questions. Give two other names for line LN, the blue one. Well, there is also an M on there, so I'm going to give you a few. I could say NL. I could say LM. I could say ML. And notice this little b. I could say line B. Those would be all ways that you can name that. Part B, give another name for plane Z, so the green one that I did. Well, I want to pick 3 points that are non-collinear, so not L, M, and N. I could pick 4 points, L, M, and P, or I could pick 3 points, L, M, P, just as long as they're not in a straight line. So plane L, M, P would work. Name 3 collinear points. There's our new vocabulary word. So that means in a straight line, and that would be L, M, and N. So we just have to list our points. No abbreviations. Points L, M, and N. Name 4 coplanar points. Another vocabulary word. Points on the same plane. Well, Q is not. Q is above my plane. But L, M, N, and P are all coplanar. They're all in the same plane. And finally, name the intersection of line QM and plane Z. So line QM is the red, plane Z is the whole plane. Where do they intersect? They intersect right there at point M. Let's try this one. Now we're going to kind of go the other way, and we're going to be given the description and we have to draw it. So you have to be able to read the notation, understand all of the labeling in order to be able to draw. So this is line RS, so I'm going to start with that. Line with arrowheads. RS have to be capital. And then point T is on it. Okay, so I'm just going to put point T right there. Part B is ray KJ. Notice K is first, so that has to be in my end point. K here, and then it has to go through point J. This little symbol means angle, so I'm going to be doing angle DEF. E is in the middle, so I'm going to draw my angle created from 2 rays. I'm going to put E in the middle as my vertex, and DF to complete that angle. Plane PQR with line TR intersecting it. This one gets a little tricky. Let's start with our plane as kind of a parallelogram. PQR, so I am not going to put those in a straight line. I'm going to spread them out. And then line TR intersects it. Well, R is already there, and I don't want to repeat another R. So I'm going to draw my line. I'm actually going to make it red here. That one, and then dot, 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 and then it comes down. And I can put T above, or I could put T below, but somehow T is not in the plane, and that's why it's important to have the dot, dot, dot there to show that it's like a pencil going through the paper. It's going through to intersect it. E is segment XY. Segment has the endpoints right at the end. There are no arrowheads. And F points A, B, and C so that they are collinear. A, B, and C are collinear, all on the same line. Here is our recap of notes. If you missed anything, all of these should get into your notes. Thank you.